There we go. Now, I do like that intro, but it is a little bit, fluffy and everything and all that. But, and then you get the two of us. Okay. Lee, is your internet playing up, mate, again? Staring.
I'm sorry about that.
Are you back with us now, Lee?
I've just texted. Yes, I am back with you, sir, and I'm sorry about that. But I've asked the wife to have a little look.
No, that's all right. No
as
worries.
I said, it's out in the sticks. We don't have fibre cables here or any of that sort.
No, it's okay. So, what we do have is you have message pigeons
do my best,
sending off internet to everyone.
And I'm nervous anyway because Arsenal got a big game.
Oh, speak no more about that. No more about the football, mate. Lee, God bless you, mate, for jumping in, and thank you ever so much for being part of this. I have been watching you for a little while now, and basically your videos, what I like about them, they're enthusiastic, they're confident, you know what you mean, and you mean what you say, and you say what you mean, as they always say. I've been looking at your videos, and I've thought of 3 words that I think kind of encapsulate yourself. And I've said loyal, respect, patriotic. Would I be hitting the mark there, mate? Is he with us? That's the next question.
Would I what? Yes, I am with you.
Yeah, there you go. Would you say loyal, respectful, patriotic? Is that you, do you reckon?
Yes, definitely. 100% me, yes. I am loyal. I am patriotic. And yeah, I honestly hope, I feel that, yeah, that's... So, oh God.
You're into that,
you
mate.
Still hear me vocally?
I can. It's kind of like going back in time, like Quantum Leap, trying to sort of speak to you through at the minute. But that's fine. We can work with that. That's not a problem.
That's not a problem. Quantum Leap. I love Quantum Leap.
Back in the day, weren't it? Lee, so...
Yeah, it was a great old program.
It was. Lee, I want to kind of, before we go into your YouTube channel and your videos and everything, I kind of just want to go back a little bit. Okay. I want to go into young Lee and Lee growing up. And it doesn't take a detective to hear from your accent that it starts in London. Okay. So tell me about Lee growing up, London. What was that like?
My who?
So your time in London. Tell me about that, young Lee. What does that look like?
I don't feel London's my home anymore. That's the saddest thing. I've still got family there, and I worry about them constantly, and I love them and I miss them. I was in Haringey, the borough of Haringey. Anyone could do their own research on them. Always, it's a Labour stronghold. And life was terrible. It was to be honest with you, if you was an extortion from certain other groups, but then we stood up to them, and it was hard. I mean, very hard. I mean, there's nothing to pad about, but you'd average about 2 or 3 fights a day.
Really?
But once that was all resolved and everyone realised we was on the same hymn sheet, then it was the police. It was the police. It was SPG from the day. They disbanded them after 85, but they were horror. They were a horror. They used to be parked up on the corners, and no matter what race card anyone wants to pop, there would be a full of them, and they used to be proper coppers in them days. And they used to rough you up and bully you, take things off you, set you up, you know. And I must admit, because I have seen it, the black lads got it a lot worse. I mean, I got a slap, right, and you know, I'd get told to get F off home with a clip round my ear to certain events on our neighbourhood to happen. Not because we wanted it, but it was brewing, and they were asking for it. Technically, I mean, I've got to be careful with what I say.
Yeah,
but
of course,
they were asking for it, and it was like what we find ourselves right now, a tinderbox situation, and it just took what happened to Mrs. Jarrett, God bless her soul, and that was it. And then the next day, you just trolleys. Local businesses were calling you if you had a van and everything to take their stock. The shops were boarding up, and that was a good 10 to 15 hours beforehand. And then you just saw the police were all getting in position, and it became what it became. Well, you can look back at the pictures, but it was horrifying, and it was. And what I saw the next morning as well, when I went to school on Commerce Road with the police. Now, it's got to work both ways. I felt sorry for them. They were exhausted. They were tired. They were battered. Some of them were singed. And I've never seen so many police officers and WPCs of the day just sitting on the curb with their shields, just in plumbers' overalls. And some of them had your heart went out for them, you know. They commandeered our school hall as like an ops sort of room. They moved the police in up on the North Circular, and I remember driving through there with my ma, and it was full of police, and I mean bundles, and they were from everywhere, Somerset, Cambridge, all sorts, and they brought them in for that night. But there was no trouble on the second night because everyone got wizened, so they moved it up to Wood Green, and they went on a massive loop.
It just sounds like just carnage.
You're not supposed to know those things.
Just you know, it's just.
And I mean, for the poor officer,
carnage all the time.
Yeah. I lived on an estate, and it was, at the time, it was a matter of if you went out the door as a young man, and I was 15, and if the police caught you, they would throw you in the van, then they put you on a coach, they take all your money or whatever off you. We didn't have mobile phones then. And then they were dropping us off into areas just like Knutsford Surface Station, Milton Keynes, and just leaving us there to find our own way home so that we weren't around on the manor when that was happening, you know. But I don't agree with what happened, but with a lot of me, I do understand why. But we didn't want it to go that way, and we weren't able to vote or do anything for ourselves. You know, it got taken out the hard way. I mean, I knew PC Blakelock, not personally, God rest his soul also, but he was a beat copper, and he caught me and my brother once nicking out the back of the fruit and veg store on Muswell Hill Broadway. And he didn't take us in and, you know, make us give us it back. He sat us on the wall and he gave us a lecture about rights and wrongs, as he should do, as what coppers should do, while we ate our fruit. He said, eat it. If you need it, eat it. And then he took us home. And we thought, oh, you know, I thought I was going to get a slap from my mum, you know. But actually, he said some lovely words. And my mum ended up patting us on the back saying, well done, lads, because he said, they're good lads, you know what I mean? They just, you know, need looking after. So he was a good man, but he wasn't SPG. He wasn't trained in riots. He was just a normal beat copper when we used to have them. I mean, they've got a headstone up Muswell Broadway of him outside the Boots. And they've also got one of Mrs. Jarrett, God bless her, as well, down outside the old swimming baths on Tottenham near Seven Sisters for her. But it was something that could have been avoided, but it was just after 84, and we all know what the government was like and the police at that time, especially with dealing with the miners. And they were, you know, we were just next on the list, and it was very frightening, the atmosphere. And yeah, you were sitting in, I mean, you may have seen my videos in the past where I've been screaming and shouting about safe houses, because I know they don't work, because we was all sitting ducks. My nan, my granddad, my aunties, we were all on the same estate. We was all sitting ducks, you know what I mean? And anything, if those people wanted, but they weren't after us, quite obviously. They wanted to just have to hoot the police. But it was scary. And at that age, things stick in your mind. And you learn a lot, unfortunately, the hard way. And that's why I go on about communities, because you need it. You need to get communities. You need to get veterans, and you all of that. You do need it. So I know I've stunned there. It's like I'm catching flies, but
no, you're absolutely fine.
Life.
You're fine. I just wonder if you can see back to those kind of times, and whether you kind of see anything mirroring now that seems very similar.
I see the lot. I feel it. I have sleepless nights over it. I'm worried for my family. With age and with what, you know, I delve into, I realised I saw a lot more than I ever. Well, I didn't know what was happening then, but I did see young women getting into cars with certain individuals, and I didn't know. And if I'd known, I would have pulled them out of that car as a young lad, and we would have, because that's the way we were brought up. You know, if you saw anything, but, you know, well, use your imagination. And that's why I'm so pro. I want to get these grooming gangs gone. I want justice for the children. I'm fearing for them. Everyone's child. Everyone's. I get called an alarmist. I get called this. I get called that. But hey, I've got the T-shirt, and I'd just like to know what the figures would be if it come out in London. But unfortunately, because of the political power some people hold, it's not coming out. And I truly believe it's going to be horrifying. And what really worries me was how many girls we were at school with that were going through that, my friend. And we couldn't help them. They didn't tell us. And I remember certain individuals meeting girls up near the phone box near Ali Pally. Didn't think nothing of it. We just called her names for doing it, but didn't realise we was naive, ignorant. And that was in the 80s and 90s. And this is how long it's been going on. And I bugged out of London. 26 years, maybe.
I was going to say, when was the last time you went down there and maybe seen how things have changed even since then?
I've not gone to my old manor because my cousin went down there beforehand and he told me not to because it would, trigger me up. I went down on the UTK march, the last biggest one ever, where I thought we would actually achieve something. I don't feel at home there anymore. I really don't. I don't feel no belonging there. And I go now to like Norfolk Way, Kings Lynn Way, Hunstanton, all around there to see where all my friends and family are from them days, because everyone got rehoused out of there. Everyone that was white was rehoused out of London. That's a fact. If you went on the housing list, they offered you a house, yeah, but you had to go to Harlow. You had to go to Milton Keynes, and they filled your houses up. You know, you got to be careful with what you say, but yeah. You know.
No, and that's the thing. The one thing I've noticed with your videos, Lee, is that you're very honest about everything, things that you've experienced yourself, and I think there's an authenticity to that people are resonating with, because all we ever get are people telling us everything is fine, look the other way, and you're not saying that it's fine. You're saying it's very much not okay.
It'll be too late. It will be too late. If people don't switch on, it will be too late. And I'm to go and look into Haringey Council. Okay, look at the borough. Look at Green Lanes. Look at the ladder, Haringey ladder. Okay, I lived on Green Lanes. Had to flee. The Ricing, remember the Ricing plot? Many years ago, the Ricing, and he was doing it above the chemist. I used to go and get my eldest daughter's nappies out of that chemist, and it scared me. And that's when I made the decision to come to my family in Scotland and get my daughters out of that. And that 20 odd years ago. And I really hope that I can get proven wrong on everything. And I pray for that. But all I can do is try to tell everyone what is coming. I mean, I still get it now. I'm in a market towns. I go through market towns with a population of 400 people. And because of my cancer battle, I'm off work at the moment, legitimately. Okay. But I'm drive through, and all I'm seeing is other ethnicities sneaking into these little market towns, and everyone's trying to be their friend. And I'm trying to tell them that, you know, I'm not trying to be some mad right-wing lunatic, because I'm not. But I'm trying to tell them that these people ain't your friends. This is your replacement, you know, especially with the SNP, the amount of pushback that I get on that. No nationalist party would allow what's happening in Scotland to be happening. They would not be wearing T-shirts with refugees welcome here. That's not a nationalistic party. They would not deface your St. Andrew's flag with a plasticine one. That's not nationalism. And I've lived here all through it. And ever since they took power, there's been nothing but aggro, hate, racism towards the English. Okay, because I've received it every day. And they're bad for the country. And if the Scots don't wise up in these local elections and get them removed with any useful idiot that we can, well, I think that's going to be their replacement, and they're never going to get independence, and, well, they're lost. And then that's when I'll be thinking about, I'm going to be hopefully moving back down into the England side of things, and I'll guard the wall, because we're going to have a hard border with them. Right? Stop the Barnet formula, stop paying them out, stop giving them money, because they don't appreciate, they don't see that. They blame us, they keep blaming us. But how long can you keep blaming a government? We know what lousy government the big ass is. I call it Westminster, right? But how long could you keep blaming other people for when you're being proven to be corrupt, buying villas in Portugal, motorhomes, can't get a ferry going? Every road, I used to love my scooter. That used to be my relaxed zoo, my old Vespa, okay? Can't take it out on the roads because there's too many potholes. Okay, there's too many people in Scotland that are living in total poverty. Okay,
tell me
and
about
it's
it.
a fact. And they still vote these people in when they dangle the same old carrot. Independence, independence. But this is from a nationalist party whose last leader told everyone that they were too white. What nationalist party does that? This is Scotland. You know, I could understand if it's too English or too, you know, any other influence. It should be Scots. And that's why I want all of these dissolved governments, use them. I want them SNP gone and put in patriots. And with that, I feel that Scotland would have been so much advanced now from a great country that it was. It was lovely. It was beautiful. Yeah, we had the banter, but it was proper old school banter, you know, a bit of back and forth, you know, nothing wrong with that. But now it's just toxic. And if you say anything, mind your own business because you're English. But I like to inform these people. I've done an ethnicity test, right, to find out who my daddy was. And I'm 16% Scottish. My children are Scottish. My wife's Scottish, from Scottish stock. Scottish people took me in when we first moved up and helped us get on our feet to buy our own, because we still had a gaff in London that we had to sell. And I love them, but I just see what's happening to them and they're being fooled. So that's what
I think the thing is, Lee, is that there are so many people who are not aware of what could potentially happen. And you've mentioned it a few times that, you know, we're sleepwalking into something. Okay. What would you say is that we're sleepwalking into?
Our demise. The end of us as a white race, a white British race, be it you Scottish, be it you Irish, be it you Welsh, be it you English. So I'm a true Brit, right? And I call myself Briton now because they seem to give that out like paperwork to anyone. But what I'm trying to tell to people is what I've seen. I've seen it unfold in front of me. When I went to find my real birth certificate, I went into Haringey Civic Centre. And I don't mind saying Haringey Civic Centre because when people do pass, I am going to sue the butt off them, okay? But when we was waiting to get called into an office to be told that we had no rights to look at our own paperwork about ourselves, okay, we was looking at the marriage register. Now, guys, I'm 56 now. I was 30 odd, young man. Okay, and me and my brother, I'll never forget it. We was looking at the upcoming weddings on the list in Haringey, and every one of them, half of the names were all English names, and the rest were all Nigerian. And another fact is, okay, I got offered £5,000, right, back in the day, by a certain ethnicity to marry one. I didn't have to do nothing. I just had to pretend I was with her so she could get the paperwork. So could you imagine how long they've abused in the system? And they get more. It's easier for a guy to land on these shores without no paperwork, like 1,000 this weekend gone, God knows how many today, you know. But the minute they come here, one of the first things they will get is be able to vote. And that's what they did in Haringey. Okay, and then it comes unbearable, and you do receive racism. You don't get picked for the football teams because you're white. Okay, your teachers will not educate you because you're white. You can't go on school trips because you're white. It's a fact. Okay, we used to get called grey men by the black boys. They used to laugh at it, right? They used to make a laugh out of it because it all started, you know, when it was coming. They thought it was funny. Because we had blackboards in them days, you know, because you used to get the chalk bubble banged off your head if you was too mouthy, right? And the teacher went, right, look at the blackboard, and half the class burst out laughing and, you know, started saying that to the teacher, and the teacher just took the knee more or less, and it was a sign of weakness. But my thought was, I won't back down. I don't surrender. I just the way it is. I've got the face, I've got the scars. And unfortunately, I've got plenty of witnesses to see what I had to do. And I was averaging 2 to 3 fights a day, every day of the week. They used to come from all over London to fight me because I used to fight them, you know. And but now some of them guys are my bestest mates. That, you know, I've been close to them we grew up together. But the only ones that didn't all went pear-shaped was our Asian friends. And not our Southern Asian friends, you know, from China and all that. I'm talking about the other continent, okay? What would happen was they come to a certain age where we'd all be playing out and there'd be no problems, right? But then in the summer holidays, they would go home to a place they used to call it the Madras. And they'd go back and they used to come back and they were so different. They didn't want to be our friends anymore. They were radicalized and I suspect very skillful at certain things as well, because we don't know what they were teaching them to do. And now these people are school teachers, are politicians, and, you know, imams out of mosques and all things like that. And I'm trying to tell people, to be honest with you, if anyone wants to know how I feel, right, this is how all my mates feel. And I've got friends with me that have been in the trenches with me, and I will never turn my back on them, right? And they're black. I don't care. But I've shared toothbrushes with them, and we've been together, shoulder to shoulder. But they are worse with their views and the way they say things, that they would be locked up. And they know exactly what I'm talking about. And now I've got no because that worries me, you know. I don't want to lose friends that my children call uncle. You know what I mean? Not because they're proper men, you know what I mean, that come to my wedding, stuck by me when everyone dropped me. You know what I mean? And, well, that makes me really right-wing, doesn't it? I'm a seeker of truth and justice. Your vocabulary's gone, voice. Oh my God. Let me see if I can. I can't hear you again. I can't hear you whatsoever, my friend. Oh, 2 technophobes with a slow Wi-Fi is not good. Have you muted yourself? Is your green light on?
There we go. What about now?
Perfect.
I have no idea what happened there. It decided to turn itself off. There we go. What I was going to say, well, what I was saying, but nobody could hear me, was with these things, we sometimes have to play devil's advocate, okay, to try and get balance. So what I can see people doing is watching your videos and they'll go, that man is a racist.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't care. Call me what you want. I really don't care. I do not care. After these local elections, I'm going full on restore, okay, and I don't care, right? If it means saving everyone's women and children, I'll happily wear that badge with honour. You might have to charge that up, I think, my friend. Oh, it's gone on again.
There we go.
You now.
There we go. It keeps disconnecting. I don't know why. This bloody thing. I swear to God. Can you still hear me all right?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You know, people will say, you know, well, he's a racist. He doesn't, you know, he's just got an agenda and all that. But you, by the sounds of it, that's not the case with you. You know, you've got friends of different ethnicities.
Listen, I want what's right for the country. And I know that the people that are from my old community are okay. They're safe. They've got nothing to worry about. And actually, I know many a man that wants to help us with, getting hold of them, detaining them, and deporting them. As simple as that. No more welfare. That'll stop the boats overnight. Your sound's gone, my friend. Put your charger in it. Is your Bluetooth connection still on?
There we go. I'm just going to have to do it through this because I can't.
Oh, perfect.
It's obviously playing up for some reason. I will have to deal with that. Yeah. Now, look, the reason I say that is because I watch your videos, mate, and
thank you.
I've got to admit, I get worried for you because I watch them and I think, here's a person saying it how it is, which gets people a target on their back. Okay. Yeah. Is that something that ever worries you, or something that you ever think about, especially when you're talking about these kind of what could be deemed sensitive topics?
Nope. I don't care. You could put a target on my back. I had a target on my back every time I went to school, every time I went home from school, and every time I went indoors. Okay? So having a target on my back right now, I do not care. Right? I am here for the women, for the children, and get this country back on the feet. Okay? You can label me, anyone can label me whatever they so desire. I don't care. All right? I know what I am. And if they ever took me to a court of law, as you see in my videos, and I invite them to accuse me of being a right-wing whatever, okay, one, they're diluting it and letting the real nasty right-wing, get away with it, okay? But I could pull so much. I could pull out my family tree and, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, okay? It's just that I've been wisened up to it. We'll be 26 now, coming on 30 odd years. Since that thing that happened at 15, I got very wary and I started to be thinking. And then I saw all the Kosovos come over. I never forget, I reported them. There was one house behind mine. They're dumping all the rubbish in. I phoned up immigration. And do you know what they asked me to do? Take their names and address, their names and details. And I said, that's not my job. Yeah, but in them days, it was women and children, and that's fair income. Any woman or child that needs help to get out, I would help get them here if I could. But undocumented, young age fighting men, I do not believe they're here. They're here for the freebies, but I believe there's a lot more to it. And I think that's the future UN army that is being placed strategically around here. And they will come out on the streets when things kick off. That's why we can't do it like that. We've got to vote them out, get the right people in power, and move them peacefully. Once the benefit stops and all the free housing and all this ECHR rubbish gets stopped, and everyone goes on, we can't do that, we're getting to a tyranny, you automatically drop into another one anyway. Okay? Once we've got to get these fellas out. They're causing too much crime. Okay, I was speaking to my friends earlier. If we turned it round, okay, and we were a couple of young men sitting somewhere where no prospects and nothing, and we heard about this little place that gave you an house, a nice hotel, pocket money, phone, and clothes, you'd be stupid not to get on it. But there's one thing that we all agreed on, okay, right? We would not be doing what they are doing to our young children, to the women, none of that would be taking place, because we'd be thinking, we've made it, we've done it, there's a chance, better ourselves, but these guys, I think there's something very sinister. I do believe in the 2030, that conspiracy, as some would say, the replacement, and I do believe it's happening in real time right now. And if it wasn't for us old buggers still being around screaming and shouting, I believe the youngsters would be too busy on their Snapchats or God knows what else they're on with their earbuds in, and that's easy targets. And as I've said before, we've got to stop being on your phone outside. You've got to be switched on. You know, we've got to have eyes on, no earbuds anymore. You've got to be that man that stands tall and look around and follow your gut, just like we did in the Troubles.
I think the thing is, Lee, is that look at the times that things have happened because somebody didn't want to say something in case they got called racism. I mean, look at the Manchester bombing. Okay,
Yeah, he could have been called.
You know, didn't want to say because they might be called racist. I mean, the problem is that there's the threat of losing your job, losing your livelihood is so great in this country that I think people, even if they would see something, don't feel that they can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I say it. That's the difference. That's the way I was brought up. If someone jumps the queue, I'll say something. Right? I will not take the knee to no one. I'm no hard case. I'm nothing of the sort. I'm a weak old man. Okay? But you know what? I will never surrender. And I will keep fighting the cause. And the people that ain't awake, I mean, I love that thing that Reform said, and I think it's, I don't like Reform, right? But useful idiot time. But what he actually said, the people that vote in the Greens and all that, let's start putting the containment camps in their areas. You know, they think it's all lovely and they want them out of the containment. Let them walk around their manor and let them put their children on offer. And then, well, I'd say we give it 6 weeks, right? And we get some feedback from them. Like this thing about if you've got a spare room in your house. No. All you've got to do is look to see where people have done this before, and it always ends in someone being unsubscribed. And then the wokeism mob jump on it, the diversity mob jump on it, and they are the danger. Okay, I want equal rights for all the kids, right? If you've got it, can do that job, okay, you've got the job. And I don't care if you're black or white, right? But there's no way you should be getting that job if you ticked all the diversity boxes and don't know what you're doing, okay? Because that white lad or lass, right, might just be the person that you need. And I believe in that in the medical world as well. Okay, we've got to encourage our youngsters to get off these games, to get off the social media and start getting intelligence into their head, because you never know. One of them might have a cure for some nasty disease for us. You know, we are a great nation and we've been dumbed down, and all these youngsters are worried for them because they think it's trendy to be green or, you know, have these guys as their friends when they don't realize they're being used. And once they are used, they are going to be disposed of. And it's history can tell you that.
Well, I mean, look at Iran.
Exactly.
I mean,
so they'll be going off buildings, you know. I mean, it makes me sick also. I grew up in an era where animal welfare was staunch. I mean, they were such a serious organisation that the government was scared of them. Okay, remember everything they did, and they got that. But where are they now when it comes to this halal slaughter? You know, I can't eat meat because of it. Not because it's halal. It's because it's so cruel, right? Then they talk about women's rights, right? You've got all these women going, they need these rights, this rights, and that right. Well, I'll tell you what, if they did win, well, they never win the day here, but if they go and live in their community and see what rights you've got, you know, because they are cruel and they treat women worse than dogs. But it seems like we're going backwards on things. You know, they don't believe in science. They don't, you know, and they can't update a book. So that, to me, is the intelligence brain dead, to be honest. I mean, we had the Old Testament and then the New. They've not done that. They still think in those old prehistoric sort of Stone Age motions that just don't come with this time of life. You know what I mean? It's, you know, that's why I'm reverting back to the Old Testament.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you got people like yourselves who are speaking what you do, it kind of allows people to feel like, do you know what, this is something that I've been feeling for a while, and therefore I've now got somebody who's saying it, and it's refreshing. And I think that's always the term I've always used, is it's refreshing.
Thank you.
Because you know, you hear, well, how many years have we been told shut up, basically?
All my life.
Yeah.
All my life.
Yeah.
All my life. And because we wouldn't, me and my brother, my real brother, right, because the other three from a stepdad, they were a little bit younger than us, but me and my real brother, we was in the same year at school. I was the eldest in the year, and he was the youngest, because there's 11 months between us. My mum don't remember who our dad is, but she must have, because he gave her a good time, didn't he? But, you know, because of our views, we got called right wing and everything. But my brother, unfortunately, succumbed to the wokeism, because once he started making the dollar, he wouldn't employ them other people, right? And give our own a start. But the minute he realised that he got cheap labour, he was all over it. And that's where I fell out with my brother. And when I see a man turning up, one man turning up, and speaking to my brother, going, how many men do you need? And he'll say 18, right, for his site for that day. And then 18 men will be turned up there, and they would work, and I mean work. They were grafters, okay? But then when it came to payday, that one man came and collected all their wages. And I started to smell a rat, and I didn't agree with it, and we fell out on it, okay? And I've not spoke to him now for over 14 years. Good luck to him. That's what I say.
Well, and it is something that can sort of tear people apart. It's because it's ideology, and they are so opposite from each other. But even within the same, if you want to say, side, you get your little in battles. Now, I didn't know if I was going to mention it or not, but you have recently had a bit of a falling out with a certain person, a certain YouTube voice, shall we say? But I was let you say to me. So we're talking about Paul Thorpe, and for people who don't know who Paul Thorpe is, so I believe he lives in Spain. Is that right?
Yes, he does. In Benidorm,
yeah. Very much aligned with Tommy, would I believe? Would that be right?
Oh, yes, he's involved in that, but now he's aligned himself yesterday, he aligned himself with Reform. And he's come out, and he's all the work that we're saying, vote tactically, vote smart, get the fibre of your community and go for the most right-leaning party to get them in. Useful idiot time. He's coming out now and undone it all and said reform only, when he doesn't understand reform will not win it all. Okay, because if anyone with half a brain cell will look into reform, okay, and they will be horrified. There's more ethnicity in reform than what there is in the Green Party, you know, or East London. I mean, and also when a certain leader of reform that's got a habit of just ripping people off and playing us mentions Tony Blair, well, alarm bells go for me. Definitely go. More than alarm bells. Moats go up, shutters come down, and yeah. You know, we've all got.
When you're looking at the councillors that they've got representing different areas, and they are literal members of the Boris wave. Is that what people were supposed to be voting for when they thought of reform? You know, because I understand why people went for reform. You did it. I was doing the same. I was all behind it to begin with.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
it changed.
I did. I thought our saviours, false prophet. Yeah. It did, mate. Yeah, they said all the right things, got us on board, and then they flip-flopped to another idea. And that's why I'm sticking with Rupert Lowe. But due to the fact is, I done a bad thing, and I would not advise it to anyone, right? Because it will mess with your psyche. I looked into the grooming gang transcripts, And I done a video. It might be back there if it weren't one that was deleted, but I was crying with shame. And
Have they
it's
actually released
horrifying.
those then? Have they actually released those?
They're not out. You've got to look for them. But if you go into the convictions, okay, of grooming gangs, all the grooming gangs that have gone down, because they offer them up every now and then, okay, have a look at the court transcripts and what's happened, the witness statements of what they did to them and what they've done to them. It will horrify you. And yes, it is race rape. And that's a fact. But no one likes to see it. Like even here, they defend them and call me racist. And I think, wow, you're trying to normalise essaying and all that. And to me, I find sickening, and that makes me stronger. You know, that's it. I'm not worried about me. When I get worried, everyone else gets worried. And I'm worried now. So everyone, please switch on and listen to me. That's all. And that Paul Thorpe, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but his day will come.
Why do you think he's gone for that approach then? What was the change, do you think?
Personally, I mean, he was an ambassador for Advance, wasn't it? And it wouldn't surprise me if he's in here, right? Watching, because he does, right? But he suddenly resigned. So to me, that's no one with loyalty or honour. Okay, you should have stuck with it and said, but he doesn't realise they've more or less gone restore all the Advance. Okay, but he knows the grifting and all that's being found out. And then suddenly comes out overnight after certain other big YouTubers have been offered substantial amounts of cash. I mean,
really?
Yes. And to, you know, churn out for reform. And now he's coming out telling us about growing up politics while hiding behind a sunbed. I've got no time for the man. I'm sorry. I'm here on the front line as you are. And we're seeing it, and I'll be here to the end. And you watch, I'll be there. You'll see this ugly boat there if it ain't taken out beforehand. But
and what about because obviously you said you went to the Unite the Kingdom march as well. Obviously, Tommy Robinson.
I've been a couple.
What's your thoughts on him? Because with me, my opinion seems to sway in the wind depending on what I hear, and I never know what to believe anymore. So, what's your sort of opinion?
Tommy Robinson, I started X. There's 21,000 of us over in X, right? And it started all because of the winter fuel allowance. Remember when Labour first got into power?
Yeah.
I started it up then, okay? Because I kept off social media because it used to drive me mad. But I started it up and I went and done voluntary work before the cancer hit me, you know, growing vegetables for the poor. And I was trying to raise money, right? And a friend of mine, because I didn't know how, set up and even put their own fiver in to start it up to raise money for any of the elderly that needed heat or a bit of food. Not the smokers and the drinkers and all that, junkies, but you don't get many of them. But, you know, the people that were struggling. And I sent a message to him to ask me to give me a follow and maybe a shout out, you know, back me. And I got ridiculed. We never raised nothing. And all I got in my comments was ponce, ponce, ponce. And that says a lot to me. And then I don't like to mention a dead man's name, but Mr. Peter Lynch, rest his soul, God bless him. But I was at that rally. And that was the one before I got hit with the cancer because I missed that one. And then I went the other one. And they raised the money. And they said, because I know, because I was right at the front, right? They said, this is for the family, for Tommy, because Tommy was in Nick at the time. Yeah. Right? Okay. And it's for him, his kids, and for the Lynch family's kids, right? I put dough in that, right? Not much, right? But I forfeited a hotel and I slept in a lay-by. So what? It was for the kids. So what? But then to find, where did it go? It's all gone. You know, there's no transparency. And today I've been listening on Tommy Robinson about his crypto, right? Through channels. Yes, mate. And they've got him on voice recorder, and you know it's him in his space where he thinks he's secure. And he's actually blatantly telling you how he's ripping us all off. And now he don't really care because he knows it's coming to an end here, right? That he's going international. He's starting on the Americans next. You know,
yeah, because I've seen that he's over there at the minute, isn't he? And he's sort of speaking to people. Like, I just think that for someone who hasn't worked for however long, any slight bit of trouble, he's in Spain or he's here or he's there. I can't just nip off to Spain or anything like that. I haven't got the money to go do that.
Would you be driving a 100-grand Bentley going off on a Euro tunnel with about 16 grand in cash and so much in euros? Oh, I wish. You know what I mean? But listen, Tommy, I was a Tommy fan. I love Tommy. I reported him to the police when he got nicked outside that Leeds Crown Court that time. Right? But the way he goes on with the football lads, they laugh at him. And he doesn't know it, right? Because he is a bit of a mug, right? And he's got a good right hook, but he's got nothing else about him. And he lives in luxury and abroad. I mean, he got a death threat from that ISIS mob, right? Yeah. Now, you'd think, you know, poor sod, he's got that. He's got to get out of town because they're everywhere. They're dangerous. Fair enough. But no, he's gone to America. They've got just as many of them guys sleeping wolves in there and lunatics. But then it's okay for him to come back for a UTK, get on the stage, and, well, I'm sorry, but I truly believe it's scamming people. All the crypto, everything, it's all a scam. And sometimes you can't tell people. And unfortunately, they learn the hard way, like I did. You lose money, and then you realise.
Well, I think, Lee, I think the one, because I always had these question marks about him, and I loved what he was doing. But the more you hear, and I'd be like, I don't know, I still think that's okay. It was when he had that conversation. And this is about the subject that has gone big, which is the whole idea of what is it to be British? Okay. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not white people. And as soon as he said that, I thought, right, we're not quite on the same page then, are we?
It's not white people at the moment because anyone could be British. Yeah. But us Britons will get our paperwork back when we deport them and we strip them. And I believe that we should asset strip them and take everything off them. Everyone that's got properties, all these hotels, okay, I want them to be asset stripped and given to us, to the people. And see all our drunks, see all the kids with alcohol and drug problems. Well, there's no excuse anymore now for this country ever to have anyone on the street again, okay, because we've got plenty of hotels and we'll put them up on that. And you'll find a lot of these hotels are owned by foreign nationals. It's a big rip-off. I was watching one the other day in Eastbourne, right? His name is Goldfinger. Okay, these boys have done their due diligence on him. He owes the tax man £150,000 a year, £150,000 to the water board and all that. He's got this big, he was taking serious professional Premier League player money per week. And do you know what he did? Right, after with all that, so he's got no credit, you'd assume, yeah? He's a bad credit risk, right? But he went and bought Eastbourne Pier for £50,000, right? And I think there should be a total audit into that council and local authority, because now he's put it on the market for 3.5 million. How does that make sense? He's banned dogs from the pier, and you're not allowed to eat your own sandwiches. You know, and this is a guy from that demographic, once again, calling the shots, taking our money, and just treat us like dirt. He called us dogs. He called the guys that have confronted him for an interview, he called them dogs, and then started threatening them by getting in their little teams, as they do. And they're like, but they're allowed to do that, aren't they? But we're not allowed. But
One
I
thing
disagree with that.
you can do, and it's quite evident on most high streets, because what I do for my job, I tend to travel around a lot, and I see towns and cities and everything across the country. And apart from the fact that everywhere now looks the same, no matter what town or city you go in, I mean, it's been mentioned for ages. Barbershops, nail bars, vape shops, everything.
Yeah, vape shops is really big in Scotland.
Yeah, no customers ever.
New grooming hubs.
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely. And I just think if you've got a council that is savvy, why are they not using their eyes the same as everybody else and go, how can this shop survive with no customers, and yet can go year from year with no customers, no business, but can survive? Do you know any other business that works like that? No. They close down.
How they do it is they get special, they get grants, they get all sort of funds to help them on their feet to start the business. And they get, say the first year will be rates free, business rates free, to, so they can establish themselves. Just before the time's up, okay, right, they will change it into a cousin's name. So they get it all again. Okay? I mean, remember when we all got locked down on that great big jabby thing? Okay? Mm-hmm. The biggest people that ripped off the country the most was the Pakistani and the Indian communities, right? They had their shops open. They were still doing business, but every one of them were claiming. And then Rishi Sunak? I mean, we had so many prime ministers, I can't remember him. But that one come in and he read it all off when we should have been taking their businesses off them, because they only sell to themselves. They only go to their own businesses. They keep their economy within their economy. Okay, and us, we don't do that. We did a bit. I want us to boycott Deliveroo, boycott their taxi services, boycott everything you can. Some people can't, and I understand that, but try your best, okay? Because money hurts, right? Us going out on the streets, us going and doing silly things, is we are playing right into their hands. We've got to be double smart on this, and we can outbox them and be double clever. And that's why I'm going to be with Store.
And in the end, Lee, to be honest with you, we have to, in the meantime, work within everything that's broken. And I mean, just look, I mean, I want to touch upon it a little bit. The NHS, okay. Yeah. Now, you was mentioned about your cancer diagnosis before. I mean, what was your experience? Did you go through NHS dealing with it, or did you go private, or what was your experience?
What happened was I got a hernia, and thankfully, thank the lucky stars, they sent me. I got referred to a consultant for my hernia, and they do the scans, and I've been waiting, and I finally got it. And I went in now, and they said, right, we know what hernia you got, right, but we found something else. And I'm not going to lie to you, I cried. Right, my world fell out of my arse. No ifs or buts. Right, I got a coward, but like that. And they showed me it. Then you'll see from the videos, I had to wait for a biopsy, and I went into the hospital in Scotland. And I'm fortunate here. The people that I've got were beautiful, and they'd done the biopsy, and that was worse than anything. And I had to do that twice. Then I went back, and they told me it was stage 2. And I had to have half of my right kidney removed. And I went oncologists and all that, and the kidney specialist men. It was a machine that done it. So I've got scars all over my right side of my body. It looked like someone's had a stab vest on me. But they caught it, and then now, thank the God, with whoever it is, I'm on the pathway to recovery. I had my last scan on the 26th of November gone, and I was all clear. And I've got to keep positive mindset, of course. Hence why I do this, because it takes my mind of thinking dark thoughts, if you know what I mean.
Of course, yeah.
All right. And November's my next one. So in other words, I'm living from scan to scan, and I'm scared. Yes, I am. I'll be a lie if I said I wasn't. But as I said to my doctor, I'd rather take a coach load of Taliban outside on the car park and get a good kicking than this, because this, what can I do? It's in me. I'll get it out, you know. And this is what annoys me about Paul Thorpe as well, right? And this is the truth. When I went down to have my surgery, I burst out crying, and I cuddled the surgeon. You know, when they have all their scrubs on.
Yeah.
I had my stuff, and I was a weak man, and I broke down, and I grabbed his hand. He said, "Lee, don't worry, we've got you. We've got you." And I go, "I'm so scared. Get me through this, please. All I want to do," and this is no lie, all I want to do is walk my daughters down the aisle and see that they're married a good man. And that doctor grabbed my hand, you know, when they put the hand over yours. And he grabbed it and he said, "Lee, you're going to do that." Right? And they said, "Do you mind if we film it for the uni?" Everyone else said no. I said yes. Because I thought, well, at least they're going to do it properly, because it's for a lesson, isn't it? So more for you guys. But yeah, I was very fortunate to be one of the men when I went back after the operation and all the tests that they do with you and all that, to get told that you're cancer free, you're on the pathway to recovery. And I went on to, they send you to a group. It's like through the Macmillan thing. I go to the Macmillan because I find it dark. I'm one of those guys. I'd rather talk to the camera. I can't be around people sometimes, especially if I'm agitated, And yeah, I was scared, but onwards and upwards. It ain't gonna beat me, and I can't afford to die yet, mate. I can't die yet. I ain't got time. I've got to get this country done. I've got to walk my girls down the aisle, and I've got to pray that I don't have ginger grandchildren, and then I'll be happy. You know what I mean, mate?
And do you know what? And you will be there, and you'll be doing it, and that'll be a proud day for you. Absolute proud day for you. And well done for you for having the strength to be able to go through that. And I'm glad that you got the support and the what you needed there. It breaks my heart to see so many people urgently needing medical care and the NHS just not being fit for purpose for them.
I've seen it. If you go back into my videos, you'll see when I've been waiting for my op and my biopsy, you could see in the comments how some of them people were special to me because of their support. They stuck with me. And you could tell how they were disgusted because I had to wait and wait and wait. What about if that was 4? I mean, I'm lucky I got it at 2. I mean, what was it when they found it? That could have been a nothing, could have just been a cyst. But for all I know, that could have been getting worse and worse. I don't know. But I lost my best mate 10 years ago on the 16th of December of this year coming. It'll be 10 years. I lost my best mate, James, right, to cancer. And he had it in his brain stem.
Oh, so yeah, not.
I lost my business. I lost my business, right, because he had no one to take him to chemo. No one would do it. And he had to have 6 weeks, every day, intensive chemo. And that boy said, "Don't worry. If I can't go, I can't go. If not, I'll try to get the bus." And I went, no. And my business was still going, but I used to take him, and he was losing his hair, as you know what it does to you. And I used to take him to work with me, and he never worked. He still got a day's wage, but I'd order him to lay on the bed or lay down and take it easy, check my work, snag me. But unfortunately, he lost the battle. But the National Health writ him off. on one weekend, they called me outside because he wouldn't have no one near him, and I had to stand at the door, and it took its toll on me. It took its toll on me. And I had a breakdown afterwards. But he said, call his family because we ain't going to pass the weekend. And I did that. But then I noticed they weren't feeding him. They gave him this lollipop thing to dampen and put on his lips. And I said, but you're starving him to death. You know, give him pain relief and let him live as much as he can. You know, life is golden.
Yeah.
And they weren't having it, and they weren't having it. So then I called some boys on, and I can never thank them all enough. And it had come to a situation where we was going to take the bed and put it in our own car or van and take him home. And we did that, and I spent every night with him. His wife spent this day at his bedside, and I spent every night with him. And as he said to me, he told me in between episodes that it was just the hand that he was dealt. He was so brave. And then I went, because I had to go to a funeral of my sister-in-law that died of breast cancer. And I was her best man, their best man to my cousin, and he was broken. And it was on the Thursday. And before we left, I popped in and I gave him a kiss. And I said, hang in, brother, I'm coming straight back, right? About 5:10, my phone rang, and it was his mum. And he had passed. And it broke me. It just broke me. And yeah, that's the truth of it. And then when it hit me, that's the last thing I spent. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that. I stopped it all. I stopped the smoking when the COVID, because I went out and started exercising like a loon. So I needed to get out. I was doing me mad. So
well, yeah, a lot of people were in that position, weren't they? It was just crazy, crazy.
Yeah, so I started doing like 3 or 4 milers, and just started, you know, well, it was more like a walk, run, roll, sick, and repeat. But I got through it, and then I started, you know, doing good 3 milers again in good time, you know, like BFTs. So they were good for me, and I felt great. And I've kept on that channel. I've kept with that, and that's my way of thinking. But there's one thing I learned about the Big C. To anyone that's out there, don't ever feel alone, and I really mean this. Right, you reach out to me, reach out to Wise Man 3, and I'm sure he'd refer you to me, or if you can't help him yourself, but you're not alone. But what you cannot do is let it consume your thoughts, okay? Because that means it's winning the battle inside. You've got to keep positive thoughts all the time. And if you get really dark thoughts, right, guys, think of the ones you love. Use that as your handling mechanism, okay? Think of your children. Think of the misery you'd leave behind and the heartbreak that will carry on for decades after you're gone, you know? So you don't do that, you know what I mean? But I've been humbled big time. I phoned up my brother when I had cancer, and I really thought he'd contact me again. Oh, sugar shit shop. Sorry about this, guys.
No, you're fine. Take your time, mate.
He never came. And I got in trouble by my psychiatrist because I've got an aggressive form of bipolar and a PTSD due to be raised like a dog. That's the exact words. It's on the documents, mate. It's done. I'm full of anxiety. That's why I do the videos. You see it in me. It's not because I'm stressed about a target. That turns me on. I love that. Bring on the violence. If you want to go that way, I'll blow the candles out. And that's not saying I'm something big, but I'm not scared of that. You know, I'd rather go out that way than all the other. But my brother never came. And when I was with the psychiatrist, I'd done a cardinal sin. I got in trouble because my mum, stepdad, everyone apart from one half brother, it just ghosted me. And I had to go and see a psychiatrist. And that psychiatrist, I'm not being funny, I never believed in it. But they hypnotised me, and I don't know what happened because I come out. All I know, he could say a funny word now and I drop my pants. I don't know. But when I was in the hospital and I was going in and off, before the drugs took effect, and I started telling everyone I loved them and chewing my lip like I was at a rave in the 80s, all I could think about was my loved ones, and I was doing exactly what the hypnotist made me do, and I was putting them in the incinerator. Because they're not my family. I'm not a millionaire in money, far from it. But I'm a billionaire in love. From my wife, from my children, from my cousin, from all of these. I had my jolly boys out in afterwards when the boys come up from London. Yeah, my black friends, yeah. How pathetic is that, yeah? Right? All come, looked after their Lee, and we called it the Jolly Boys out, and we went to Cambridge. We all got scooters. Worst thing I did was going over a cattle ramp with a electric scooter. Oh my God, I had to have a lie down, mate. You know, and everyone else went off apart from my black mates were going, Lee, are you all right? And I'm turning green going, I don't feel well, boys. And I couldn't blame it on my trainers. But that's just, you know who your friend is. I class him as a dear friend, and I've met him personally, stayed at mine, I broke bread, he's met my family, and that's Freedom Dad 73. He's been through it. He has been through it, right? And I mean bad, right? But when I told him, that man broke down on the phone to me with fear. And I knew it was fear. But, you know, I thought he was dropping me. And I should never have said that. And I'd never meant that. So if he ever listens to this, I apologise for that. Because I know he was scared. Because he thought I'd be dead in 2 months. But that was nearly 2 years ago, Paddy. But Sparky, you know I'm still here, son. And I'm waiting for the fight. But like that last UTK rally I went, right, when I bought crypto, got ripped off again, right?
Right.
But I went now against doctors' advice to stream it for all the people. And I don't ask for money. I do buy me a coffee. Got 75 quid of all the years I've done it, right? All my DJI gear, you know, that fancy stuff you get, all got blown up with the water. I lost a handset on my phone. My mic system all went down. And I went home ruined. And, you know, and them guys, they all went over and got nice new teeth, live abroad. And I don't know about you. Have you seen their houses? I wouldn't mind living in a gaff like that. You know, I wouldn't mind being able to get my children out of here because I'm not going. There's no ifs or buts. And I promise you, Patriots, I'm staying. Right? We will stay. Even if we need
the thing is, Lee, I've got two girls. I've got 2 daughters, and they're young. And I worry. I really do get concerned about. Well, I mean, it's okay where we are at the minute, and it's always the kind of at the minute, because you always think, well, actually, everywhere was at the minute at one point until it's not. But it is frightening. And it is something that I'm deeply worried about and concerned. And then you realise you're battling every institution that's telling them otherwise, like school, and maybe anything they see on TV and social media, if they would happen to see anything on there. What is it they say? So if you're young and are not liberal, then you haven't got a heart. But if you're not older and conservative, then you haven't got a brain.
No, we're just sensible.
Yeah.
I moved from London because I had my eldest girl, and I was feared. I feared for them. I didn't want them in the school. The school that I was in, right, was a Catholic school. The reason I was an altar boy and in the Catholic school was not because we're religious. No, useful idiots. Okay, right. Better education than the state school, right? But even my school now, that was a Roman Catholic school, there's not one white face in it. And I know that as a fact because I've been I watched news articles on my school being so troublesome when we used to be so well behaved. And it used to be a nice mix. Maltese, Chinese, we all got on well. And you know what I mean? The blacks, they had their chip on their shoulder. We used to say, what's your chip for? You know what I mean? Do you need some fruit for that bowl? You know what I mean? But then they all come round. But the only ones that proved to be the problem, and the only ones that ain't our friends now, are the Pakistanis. Fact. And if they don't like it, right, then they can stick it in their pipe and smoke it, because I don't care. You know what I mean? They've all got to go, and they've got to go legally as well, because they've been ripping us a new one coming through the legal system. And everyone that's been involved, right, with marrying them and doing them sham marriages, I want them all nicked. Right? And I reckon we should stop welfare for everyone, unless you really need it. Unless you really need it. You know what I mean? And all these other people, they don't know what anxiety is about, mate. They don't know what anxiety is.
Well, having said that, then I think what I want to do is I just have a quick look through some of the comments that we've had during this, because I think this one was one that sort of came up, and I thought, oh yeah, fair enough. Remigration from Nick.
Totally agree.
Absolutely. Who then followed it on with, it's happening all over the Western world. Here in Canada, it's wild. Canada,
they're worse than us. And the Republic of Ireland and the Australians are getting it as well. And the Americans are sleepwalking into it. And I totally, Nick Larcher, is that right?
Yeah,
yeah, Nick Larcher, mate, you're bang on. You're bang on. You're right. You're so right, my friend. You're so right. You've got to wake up. I don't know whether you've seen him on your live, because you might have, because if you've been on my live, and you know that everyone subs to you also, but Big Don. Big Don Carter, right? He's a mountain, and he holds as well legally, right? And he is a man. There was trouble. He went to Ulster, and then he wanted to come over to London when the 7-7 was on. You know, and he messaged me. I goes, "Well, it's so mad here, Lee. No one's seeing it." I go, "Mate, you've got to take the rough with the smooth here. You're going to get called everything. Make sure your kids keep them all out of it, and your missus, right? And then do it yourself, so no one can connect you. And you've got to tell everyone." And that's what I do. I mean, for the store, right? As I've said to everyone, vote wisely. Vote the most right-leaning party that you can, right? Because if the Reform get in, and I should imagine they will in a lot of places, right? What can they do? They can either walk the walk, or their support is going to come to restore, and we get stronger. If we're setting up, they're asking idiots like me to help set up a branch in the borders of Scotland 2 months or a month ago, you'd say they ain't getting the footwork in, you know? And when people like me, like I live in the farmlands, and I've done that by design. Right? Because I don't want people around me like that, because I know exactly how it's going to go. But to the farmers, this is how I've been converting them. And it's so simple. It's really simple, right? I pay them. I go and look at Rupert Lowe's got a message from you from the farm. Next day, I've joined.
Yeah, it's mad how simple it was, but how effective it was, wasn't it?
To the young, all I've said, right? All I say to the young, Rupert Lowe's got a message for you, to you, the young. And you've seen them doing, and you see their eyes, and they look up at you. They're the store members. They've all come round. They've all worked it out, you know. And if everyone else, like the old people, you might have to get it up for them, bless them, like me, right? But you show them the one when he was at the conference talking about change. You will not believe how many people are awake. And I know from the swell that, remember the feeling that we had with Brexit that we never got? It's never been implemented, and it's destroyed us, okay? But people had enough, and I think that's where we are now. And everyone goes about reform. Yeah, go reform. If they are going to win in your borough, go for them, right? Because if they don't do what they're talking about, and they prove to be like Labour and every other party, well, we're going to get stronger. I felt out my area. I know exactly where I've got to put my vote. And I'm sick. I'm sickened with this one. But there's one thing I can say. There's less mueslis in the Conservative Party, right? And one Nigerian bird at the front, okay? I've got to go them or I'm getting Lib Dems.
Yeah,
right?
that is the thing.
And they wouldn't want to be put
here is Lib Dems.
Yeah, and that's the biggest threat. And I converted 3 Lib Dem supporters that was staunch, right? Okay, while feeding the cows, rolling out hay for the cows. You know what I mean? And I just spoke to them and I said, you don't know nothing about them. Do your homework. And then we started on Nick Clegg. Remember him?
Yes.
And he went from there, it snowballed, and now I've got 3 votes for the Conservatives that are all members of Restore. We're using them. And that's what they do. They use us. They use all them other lot. Let's us play them at the same game. That's all. I'm not talking about inciting nothing, because that's the last thing I want. Because, well, if that happened, well, we'd all have to go underground, wouldn't we? And it'd be a mess. And I wouldn't want it on anyone. I really wouldn't. But we can vote our way out of this. We can't be defeatists. This is our country, right? Where have we got to go? Right? And I'm not taking the knee for no one.
No,
End off.
Really. We got a message here. So Doka says, yes, the natives of this nation have been completely forgotten about. I think, well, it's not just forgotten about, it's just purposely ignored, I think, is that sort of really how it is.
Doka, I call him Big Doka. He is what you call, he's one of my mods. Okay? And he is a giant of a man, covered in tats all over his boat, right? He's a granddad. And he is more than switched on. He's double switched on and he's doing martial arts. Okay? And he's doing everything that I've been crying out for donkeys. He is a prime example of someone that is switched on and listening. You know? And he's a really good, I love Doka to bits, to be honest.
We've got a lovely one here. So we've got Libby W. Good for you for speaking out, Lee. Admire you for standing up for what you believe. Absolutely, you know.
Thank you, Libby. 1980. Look, I don't want to upset any of my people, our people, right? I don't mind upsetting politicians and the Pakistanis because they brought it on themselves and they will reap what they sow. But you guys, all I'm screaming and shouting about is for our kids, for our women to be safe, for the kids to go to school and learn their ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and maybe how to manage money, right? Okay, instead of how to lick someone's rear end out. Do you get my meaning? I've got video that John Sweeney has tried to hide, and I've got it, and it's going on X later because I've got so much work to do with him. Yeah, and because of certain people with turkey teeth in countries, all they have done, right? All they have done is upset the apple cart. We was all doing it. We was all on it, and everyone has spent a good week, 2 weeks arguing. And turkey teeth, if you're listening, because I know you are, right, and your big boxer mates, right, after this is all done, as I said to you previously, I'm going on holiday, right, and we've already got eyes on you. Nothing nasty, of course not, but there will be a visit. You know what I mean? Some people need told. I'm sorry.
And just to provide a little bit of balance as well. So this is quite a long message, so I'll go through it. So we got JLP. I agree with what most of this guy is saying, but he's the exact stereotype of the far right that the left complains so much about. His message comes across as bitter and angry, perhaps rightfully so, but this is not going to achieve much. Very brave, though, and doing much more than I am, so can't knock him too much. So,
I'm not going to take that in a hard way, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care. If everyone, I've always speak in my pitch, right? Look at the state of my boat. You know that I've had more white hooks than I've had hot dinners, right? Because people take me wrong sometimes, and that's up to you. But I'm not aggressive. I'm passionate. I am begging people to listen, to wake up, to smell the coffee. right? And if that means I'm right wing, well, what are we this week? Because I've been right wing. I don't care. I really don't care. You know, I know what I am, and I'm happy with what I am. And so that attitude, no disrespect, because it was a nice comment, right? But that sort of attitude and not speaking up and not speaking out is exactly why we're in such a mess, right? And that is exactly why the girls, and I do get angry with this, right, are forgotten about, that have been groomed for decades and no one spoke about it, all because no one's got the guts. I'll do it. I don't care, right? And if before anyone else says, oh, Tommy did it, listen, Tommy picked, he done a great job, yes. And I love his documentaries. I do like his documentaries, right? But there was Maggie Oliver before him, the BNP before that, okay? And if I was real right wing, I'd have a swastika on my forehead, right? And I wouldn't be in Restore, okay? I would be in something a lot more extreme.
Well, they are out there, aren't they? So, I mean, it's not like there's no options if people were that way inclined.
People that go on that bandwagon, right, they're going to lose. We've got to vote smart and get behind Restore. Restore isn't a racist party. Have a look at his manifesto. Have a look at what it says. Okay, it's fair. Once you top off the welfare and stop giving away the freebies, majority of it will happen organically. Okay, but for sounding right wing, I don't care. What do I want to sound left wing? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the problem is that if you're not hard left, then you're right wing, according to the left anyway. So it wouldn't matter what. If you was the most level and balanced person going, you'd still be far right.
I honestly, I don't mind that. I really don't mind that.
And I think this was to do with, obviously, when we were talking about Tommy. But Doka again says the BNP highlighted the Graper gangs in the early 90s, but were ignored. So he's not the first to bring it into the
light. Doka's totally bang on, and Maggie Oliver. There were people before. He's bang on. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, Tommy. I was never in the English Defence League, never. Right, but I liked what he did when the troops were coming home. And how he stood up to them lot, jeering them coffins. That was disrespectful, and that's not the way to. That's not cricket, right? And I like his scammer dramas and all that. I love it all, right? I think he's really good with the way he investigates things. I think he's got a talent. I think he's like the modern day. Remember the Cook Report? Well, I think he's like the Cook Report on steroids. And to be honest, I think with all his information, he could help any future government by just giving that over, you know. But I just don't like people taking money off people that are scared.
Yeah, that is the grift, then, isn't it? That is the ultimate grift. Then
I don't like it. I don't like it. You know, I'm sorry. You know, if you earn your money through Google and adverts, fine. That's Google paying for it. If people want to buy you a coffee, that's their discretion. But I've never done a fundraiser. I put one post up for the veterans camp on my posts, and that's for the vets, right? One, because he's ex-airborne, he's a power, and I love that regiment with all my heart. Okay, and I've had a tour where they put me on a tour on it. You know, when they do it with the video camera. And what they've done is totally amazing. And I think money going straight to them because they're getting the registers as a charity. He only started doing it as a favour and it's snowballed. You know, I want to support that. I like to support that. And that's the thing I do. I've got a channel sponsor, you know, True Brit, you know, and I get everyone a discount, but I don't get nothing else. I get free hoodies and free gear. But hey, that's not grifting. That's trying to make a living. You try to get a job at my age with all this AI and with my attitude. You know, it ain't going to happen. It doesn't happen. I cannot be in places with loads of people because I have panic attacks and I go all stupid. You know what I mean? And it ain't my fault.
And I think, to be honest with you, I think just speaking to you today, we can get the passion, we can get the intensity of how strongly you feel about the situation. And all I can say to you, my friend, is just carry on what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job. You've got a great community in there who are also here with us today as well. So that's lovely to see you guys here as well.
I ain't got the comments on because I daren't touch the computer because my
you're right. Yes. Hands off that.
Hands off. I'm not going to do it, but I thank everyone. And listen, we can all agree to disagree. I mean, I'm not one of those idiots, but to be honest, we've got to be a little bit more militant and a little bit more braver with how we are about things and what we're not happy about to get anywhere. Because other communities, they cry out and they get everything flung at them. We get nothing, okay? You know, and that's just the way I feel. And half the reason I speak so loud, okay, it's because I'm stone deaf in my left ear because I've got a perforated eardrum for having too many white hooks.
I was going to say, you got a perforated eardrum. You're all right. That's what that's all about. Lee, God bless you, my friend. Thank you so much for jumping on this. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
It's been an honour.
For the comments as well. Remember to go over to Lee's channel. Lee, just remind everyone what your channel is.
It's Lee British Patriot, and you'll just find me. You'll find me on YouTube and on X. I'm a little bit louder on X, but hey ho.
And also, it's a moving video and not just him looking shot, catching flies. He's actually moving videos as well. Thank you ever so much, folks, and we'll see you again next one. I believe the next podcast I'm doing is next Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. And obviously, Lee, you've got your live stream coming up soon, haven't you?
It's
Thursday. I just dropped you in it there, yeah.
I might have a day off and just be quiet.
I just dropped him in it there. Leave him alone. He needs a day off. All right. Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you ever so much, and see you again soon.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, mate, as well. Thank you so much, and it's been an honour. Thank you.